I took the reins of our family business at 15. By 17, I had scaled our enterprise into a 10 billion yuan powerhouse. By 19, I was running the core operations of the entire group. But our 20th birthday banquet was the day everything changed. It was the day the G Group leadership would be handed over. Grandfather took the precious rosewood seal, the symbol of our family head, and gave it to my useless older brother. That brother knew nothing but partying. I watched as he took the seal with pride. He even put a hand on my shoulder, fake affection dripping from him. Then my fiancée Lu Royan walked up to him with a glass of wine, blushing. That was the moment I realized my capabilities meant nothing to them. They only cared for the so-called eldest grandson. If that was the game, me walking away from my inheritance and pulling my hand-built core team out with me was perfectly reasonable. The crystal chandeliers in the G Mansion banquet hall were blinding. The light made every face seem unnaturally bright, almost like a thin, hazy mask. It was the 20th birthday for me and my twin, Ji Yang. Today, the G Group power was officially transferring. I, Ji Yang, had been trained to lead since childhood. Everyone assumed grandfather would hand me the position tonight. I held my wine glass, a perfect polished smile, fixed on my face, greeting guests. But my eyes kept drifting back to grandfather, on the main stage. He wore a deep red tang suit and looked full of life. In his hands he cradled a dark wooden box, stroking it slowly. Inside that box sat the G family seal. My fourth aunt stood on stage delivering a spirited opening speech. The tension in the hall reached its peak. Then finally, grandfather stood up. Silence instantly swallowed the hall. He cleared his throat, his voice booming across the room. Today marks the 20th birthday of my grandsons, and today is the day this old man should retire. He paused, his gaze scanning the hall before landing on me. There was a complex feeling in his eyes, one I couldn't quite decipher. My heart began to race. Then he spoke. According to G family rules, the position of head must go to the eldest grandson. My heart plummeted. I was the eldest. Ji Yang and I were twins, but he was born just 3 minutes before me. Because of those 3 minutes, 20 years of my hard work were about to vanish into thin air. I watched as grandfather opened the box, pulled out the heavy seal, and walked right past me, straight toward Ji Yang. Ji Yang wore his usual careless, indifferent expression. Grandfather handed him the seal and declared, Ji Yang, from today, you are the head of the G family. You are the chairman of G Group. Remember, you are the eldest grandson. You must shoulder this duty. Ji Yang went blank for a second, then a manic joy spread across his face. He practically snatched the seal. Thank you, grandfather. I will definitely live up to your expectations. The hall plunged into a deathly silence. Every eye locked onto my face. Some held sympathy, others curiosity, and some were openly enjoying my misery. My facial muscles tightened. Holding that formal smile had become nearly impossible. Then suddenly a sharp voice echoed inside my mind. I won. I snapped my head toward Ji Yang. He was holding the seal, high in the air, arrogance radiating from him. But his lips were moving differently. Little brother, I will need your help in the future. We will work together as brothers. That was his inner voice. I never knew I could hear thoughts. Perhaps the extreme humiliation and anger had awakened some hidden ability. Ji Yang walked over and slapped my shoulder hard. His touch lacked strength but carried plenty of pretense. Then I heard his mind. Look at his face, he looks like a dead man. It's hilarious. He spent his whole life acting so capable, like the position was already his. Bah, in that old man's heart, I'm the only one who matters. My fingernails dug deep into my palms. At that moment my fiancée, Lu Royan, walked over with a wine glass, graceful and elegant, toward Ji Yang. She wore an expensive custom dress I had bought for her at auction. A faint, shy flush sat on her cheeks, and her eyes glowed with a strange light. Brother Ji Yang, congratulations. I would like to offer you a toast. She didn't once dare to look my way, and then I heard her thoughts. Good thing I never told Ji Yang that twins should always choose the eldest. So what if Ji Yang is more capable? The Ji family is an old house that values birth order above all. Good thing I didn't pick the wrong team. Now that I'll be the chairman's wife, so that was their perspective. 3 minutes. That was all that separated us. Rules and traditions were just excuses for mediocre people to hide and for talented people to be crushed. I saw Ji Yang down the wine Lu Royan offered. He deliberately brushed his fingers against the back of her hand. I saw grandfather stroking his beard in satisfaction. All around, everyone lined up to flatter Ji Yang, as if I were just an irrelevant background character. The fire in my heart burned away my final shred of restraint. I loosened my clenched fist and started to smile slowly. It wasn't a loud laugh, but it was like a stone hitting a still lake. The hall's noise stopped. I picked up the microphone and walked toward the stage. The lights focused on me again. I deliberately emphasized the word elder. Congratulations to my elder brother on becoming the head of the Ji family. Grandfather nodded with satisfaction. Ji Yang had a mocking spectator-like grin. I wonder how long he can keep up this act. I scanned the entire hall, my voice clear and firm. Since the Ji family values the eldest grandson rule so much, I, the younger twin, should also know my place. I, Ji Yang, hereby announce before everyone that I am voluntarily giving up my Ji family inheritance. I am leaving G Group without taking a single thing. The hall went deathly silent. Grandfather stood up abruptly. He pointed at me with a trembling hand. You? What did you say, you good-for-nothing? I ignored him and continued. Furthermore, the navigation plan and the system I built and manage personally, including all project data, client resources, and the next 3 years of development planning, are my personal intellectual property. So, the team members working on those projects are leaving with me too. I tossed the microphone down and turned to walk away. Passing Ji Yang, I heard his panicked inner voice. Is he really taking all those people? What is this nonsense about a navigation plan? Wasn't that a company project? No, I can't. Let him leave. He tried to stop me, but I just gave him a cold look. Please maintain your dignity, family head. Behind me in the other corner of the hall, my most trusted assistant Lin Zhou stood in his suit. He picked up his coat from the chair, looked at the 2 tables behind him, and said calmly, President Ji has left. What are we still doing here? Pack up. We report to the new office tomorrow. President Lin, all 20 of them, rose from the tables at once. These were the core members from the technical, marketing, and project departments. They followed me out without a single glance back. The banquet hall fell into a heavy, suffocating silence. It felt as if everyone had been struck dumb. Only my good-for-nothing brother remained, the seal in his hand feeling like burning iron, while grandfather's face darkened with rage. Stepping out of the old Ji family mansion, the cool night air swept away the stifling perfume of the hall. Lin Zhou hurried over, draping his coat over my shoulders. President, the cars are ready. I nodded and slipped into the back seat. Behind me, more than 20 members of my core team climbed into their own vehicles. No one asked a single question. Their actions spoke volumes about where their loyalties lay. I had personally recruited these people from top universities during graduation season. I had trained them myself. We spent countless sleepless nights together solving impossible problems. The trust between us had long since surpassed a typical boss-employee relationship. The cars glided out of that wealthy district. Looking into the rearview mirror, the Ji family mansion grew smaller. That place once felt like home to me. Suddenly, my phone vibrated like crazy. Grandfather. I swiped to decline and blocked the number immediately. Moments later, Ji Yang called. I picked up. Ji Yan, have you lost your mind? Get back here right now. Family head Ji, watch your tone. We aren't brothers anymore. We are business rivals. Ji Yan, do you even have what it takes to be my rival? Don't forget, that was all Ji family money. I cut him off, his voice trembling with fury. I've frozen all your credit cards. Let's see how you feed this entire team now. Thanks for the reminder, I said calmly. But I think my personal bonuses and investment returns are more than enough to launch a new venture. With that, I hung up. Ji Yang had no idea that since age 18 I had built a substantial startup fund from my project bonuses and personal investments. I never placed all my hopes in anyone else, not even my own family, and now it was finally proven that I was right. Soon after, Lu Ruoyan called. Yan, please, don't be impulsive. I know you're hurt, but grandfather is old. You can't upset him like this. Come back and apologize. This can still be fixed. Fixed? I said coldly. Lu Ruoyan, you didn't have any such plan when you were cozying up to Ji Yang earlier. On the other end, she went completely silent. Then stammering, she said she was just trying to calm the atmosphere. You know you're the only one in my heart, she added. Really? I replied. Then replace that spot in your heart with the new Ji family head. Everything between us is over. I hung up, blocking her number 2. Finally, the world went quiet. Lin Zhou handed me a tablet from the front seat. President, this is the navigation plan follow-up proposal. Our team pulled an all-nighter to finish it, including the registration process for the new company. Please take a look. I took the device. The data on the screen warmed my heart. Despite the betrayal, seeing the progress made me feel alive again. The company will be called Shinki Technology. Lin Zhou's eyes lit up. A great name, a fresh start. That same night, we rented an entire office floor in the city center. By morning, panic rippled through the Ji group. Ji Yang sat in the chairman's office as directors rushed in with urgent reports. His head was spinning. What did you say? The cooperation project with Manhwa must be submitted today, right? Where is the lead? Oh, right, he left with Jian yesterday. And the Anxi real estate project promo. It launches next week. The marketing manager, Manager Lee, he left too. I used my old contacts within the Ji group to listen to every word in that meeting room in real time. Ji Yang screamed about them being ungrateful. He acted like their departure was nothing. Do you think the world stops spinning without them? Hire new people. Spend whatever it takes. Scout for talent across the market. The HR department scrambled to hire, but they quickly realized the truth. The truly capable people flatly refused to join the Ji group just to clean up Jian's mess. Everyone knew I had built that navigation plan from scratch. Without my core team, no one could truly understand the technical barriers or the market structure. 3 days later, news of the team's departure hit the stock price. It dropped by 10%. Ji Yang was losing his mind. Meanwhile, our Shinki technology was officially registered. On our opening day, there was no grand ceremony. Just 20 founding employees standing in our new office. We popped a bottle of champagne. Looking at them, I said, "We've won markets for the Ji group before, but today we build our own future." Everyone raised their glasses. Their eyes shone with hope and determination. These were top-tier tech and marketing talents. Free from the Ji group's rigid management, their creativity was finally unlocked. Our first mission was to optimize and upgrade the navigation plan's core product. It was a brand new smart home control system, and we were set to launch ahead of schedule. This was meant to be the Ji group's biggest release. Now, it was Shinki Technology's first major strike. Back at the G Group, it was pure chaos. The experts Jiang hired at massive salaries looked at the unfinished code and were completely helpless. In the meeting, they had made big claims, but listening to the recording from my contacts, I couldn't stop laughing. They didn't understand the code, so they called it garbage. And a clown like Jiang actually believed them. Fine, Jiang shouted. Build it from scratch. I'll show them who the real genius is. He signed off on the new team's proposal. He abandoned 90% of the work we'd completed, deciding to restart from zero. This single decision would cost the G Group millions in extra R&D expenses and lose them half a year of progress. Grandfather might have stepped back, but every bit of turmoil in the company reached his ears. He summoned Jiang to the old mansion and lashed out. You fool, do you even know what restarting everything means? It means everything we invested in the first half of the year is wasted. Grandfather, those experts said what Jian left behind is just hollow garbage. Why do you always think Jian is perfect? He is our enemy now. Then I heard his inner thoughts. This old man is so biased. Even after all this, he's still protecting Jian. I need something. I had to prove myself. I had to show them who was right. Grandfather finally gave up. He just sighed and let me be. And that was my chance. I took full advantage. A month later, Shinki Technology held its first product launch. Standing under the spotlights, I presented our smart home system to the media and potential partners. The Kiming system is a total game changer. It's not just a controller. It's an intelligent butler. It actually gets you. The Kiming experience was far smoother than anything else on the market. The design felt human-centric, and its compatibility was incredibly powerful. Once it launched, the tech world exploded. That same day, we signed strategic agreements with 3 of the country's top home furnishing firms. The total value of those orders topped 50 million yuan. Shinki Technology became famous in a single battle. Our office phones wouldn't stop ringing. Meanwhile, the G Group had barely finished their initial framework. When Jiang saw me looking so confident on the news and saw all the features of the Kiming system that made his head spin, he flew into a rage. He smashed his favorite antique vase right there in the office. Now he understood. The so-called experts he trusted had made a fool of him. What he dismissed as garbage was actually pure gold that could have shifted the entire market. He'd thrown that gold in the trash with his own hands. The G Group stock price crashed again. In the boardroom, the analysts and elders who used to support Grandfather were starting to complain. Old chairman, look at what's happened here. Ever since I left, the company and its new ventures have practically paralyzed. Now, they've become our competitor. What kind of farce is this? Grandfather sat in the main seat, his face looking so dark it felt like it could weep. Jiang, that rogue has grown wings. Now he's turning around to attack us. But they had no clue. This was just the beginning. The success of the Kiming system solidified Shinki Technology in the industry. We didn't waste the momentum. We started expanding rapidly. In less than 3 months, we captured 30% of the high-end smart home market. Our valuation was taking off like a rocket. The G Group, meanwhile, was stuck in a crisis like nothing they'd ever seen. Ji Yang panicked. He started making reckless investments in every field. He was desperate for any new growth point. One day, he listened to some self-proclaimed master who claimed the metaverse was the future, so he sank millions of yuan into a virtual social platform. The next day, he listened to an influencer who said live stream selling was the most profitable move, so he spent 50 million yuan building a new team. But every project flopped. The company's cash flow began to dry up fast. Because of my ability to read minds, I could clearly feel every foolish decision he made. He never once thought about how to run the company better. He only chased shortcuts and tried to satisfy his own vanity. He just wanted to feed his selfish desires. He had turned a massive group into an amusement park for his fantasies. One day, I was reviewing files in my office when an unexpected call came in. It was Lu Royan's mother, Auntie Lu. Her voice sounded 100 times warmer than usual. Was she after something? You're still being so formal with your aunt? Are you free tonight? I booked a table at Tianyu residence. You and Royan haven't met in ages. Let's have dinner and chat a bit. Before I could even answer, I could hear her suppressed excitement. This kid is a rising star now. Shinki Technology's valuation is Royan is such a fool. How could she break up with me? I have to get them back together fast. If they marry, half of Shinki Technology is practically ours. What a brilliant calculation. I chuckled slightly. No, Royan and I are done and I'm very busy. Don't say that. Ah Yan, you've always been in Ruoyan's heart. She only broke up with you because Ji Yang forced her. She's just a girl. How could she fight against a man like Ji Yang? She had no choice. Really? I asked. What was her choice? Was she sad she couldn't become the chairman's wife sooner? The other side of the phone went silent instantly. Maybe Auntie Lu didn't expect me to be so blunt. A few seconds later she gave an awkward laugh. Yan, you must be misunderstanding something. Whether I'm misunderstanding or not, you and your daughter know better than anyone. Don't call me again, or I can't guarantee that Lu Group stock won't look as bad as the G Group. I hung up. Being polite to people who only chase power and money is a waste of time. For them, being direct is the only thing that works. And honestly, the Lu family didn't bother me again after that. Lu Royan's life wasn't getting any easier either. G was drowning in alcohol and debauchery. He'd long forgotten his backup option. The Liu family chose the wrong side, so their position in the social circles plummeted. I heard Liu Ruoyan tried to approach me at several banquets, but my bodyguard stopped her every time. I didn't even feel the need to look at her once. Some people are better off gone from your life forever, and I had no reason to waste my time on such boring people. My real target was to completely dismantle that rotten, stubborn G group. The group that valued bloodlines and birth order over everything else. The G group's financial condition had reached a dangerous level. Ji Yang's foolish investments were draining money like a bottomless pit, and as the core business weakened, suppliers started showing up at their doors demanding payment. Ji Yang finally panicked. He had no solutions, so he ran back to the old mansion to ask grandfather for help. In the study, grandfather was reviewing the latest financial reports, his hands trembling with rage. It hasn't even been 6 months, and you've ruined the company. The 100-year legacy of the G family is going to be destroyed by a brat like you. Ji Yang knelt on the floor, tears and snot streaming down his face at the same time. Grandfather, it's my fault. I was wrong. Please help me just one more time. Last time, I promise. Then I heard his thoughts. The old man must have some secret savings. If he just releases this cash, the company will stabilize. Once it's stable, I'll definitely make a comeback. Grandfather closed his eyes, fatigue and disappointment etched all over his face. After a long silence, he said, "There is one more way." "What way?" Ji Yang jumped up as if he'd found a lifeline in the scorching sun. "Go to Jian." Grandfather's voice was full of clear reluctance. "Tell him to come back. If he returns, I will hand the family head seal to him, and you will work as his deputy." Grandfather was only willing to lower his head after things reached this point, but sadly, it was too late. Ji Yang didn't hear it. How could I just walk back in there, beg for mercy, and play second fiddle? I'm the eldest grandson. I am the head of this family. Bow to him? I'd rather die. Who is he, anyway? Just some stray kid my parents dragged home. Wait a minute. A stray kid. That inner voice hit me like a shockwave. We were twins, that's what everyone always said, right? I immediately ordered Linzhou to pull every string he had. I needed the medical records from the hospital where I was born. 3 days later, Linzhou arrived. He dropped a yellowed, aging copy of my birth certificate on my desk. Beside it lay a DNA test report. My mother's name was correct. But in the section for infant information, there was only one name listed, Ji Yang, and the report confirmed something else. The biological relationship between my supposed parents and Jiang was solid. But the report comparing me to them? No blood relation at all. I was never a Ji. I was just a random baby born on the same day as Jiang, brought home instead. No, this wasn't a mistake. With the power the Ji family held, a cover-up lasting 20 years was impossible to hide by accident. There was only one explanation. This was calculated. My supposed mother probably only gave birth to one child that day, Ji Yang. He was weak, constantly sick, his survival uncertain. The family needed to protect their reputation. They needed a healthy heir, so they took me. They spun a web of lies about twins, and I was their chosen backup. I was trained to be the heir because Ji Yang was too frail. They needed a contingency plan. Now that Ji Yang was grown and appeared healthy, discarding me became a simple cost of doing business. Their precious rule about the eldest grandson was just a pathetic excuse. An excuse to hand everything to Ji Yang and justify their greed. I stared at the DNA report. My entire body went cold. 20 years of being raised, 20 years of training. It was all a meticulously planned lie. I was nothing but a chess piece in the Ji family's game. The truth stung like a venomous blade. It completely severed the last shred of hope I held for the Ji family. I felt no anger, no sadness. My heart was terrifyingly calm. Since there was no blood bond, I finally took the call from Ji Yang. After the line connected, he stayed silent for a long time. Then he ground out, "Jian, you have time? We need to meet." And I thought, just let me get my money, then watch what I do to him. I listened to his spiteful tone, my voice flat. "What do you need?" "Grandfather says if you return and fix this crisis, he'll give you the chairman position." His voice cracked with humiliation. I feigned shock. "You're actually giving up the eldest grandson's throne? Don't get too happy, Jian. If the company wasn't in trouble, would I even look at you? This is your last chance. Fix it, then we'll dump you. The chairman's seat belongs to me." "A small issue," I said coldly. "According to my intel, G Group's debt has ballooned over 1.5 billion yuan. The bank's final ultimatum arrives next week, and you call that a small issue?" Ji Yang choked, unable to speak. "You want me back? Fine. I set my terms. Call a general shareholders meeting. Invite the financial media. You and grandfather will hand me the family seal and chairman title publicly, and you will apologize for the decision you made that day." "You're dreaming," Ji Yang screamed. "Apologize? Who do you think you are?" "Then we're done. You have 1 week. Get ready for G Group's bankruptcy liquidation." I hung up. I knew they'd fold. Grandfather valued his prestige above everything. He'd never let G Group declare bankruptcy and become a joke in the business world. And exactly as I predicted, 2 days later, grandfather called me himself. His voice sounded frail and withered. The authority was gone. "Ah, Yan, we accept your terms. The meeting is this Friday. Come back." Then I heard his inner calculation. As long as the company survives, who cares about a little lost pride? Let him come back and save us. We'll have plenty of time to deal with him later. He was raised by the Ji family. A cold smile touched my lips. A G family child? How interesting. Fine. I'll be there on Friday. The news tore through the business circle. Everyone thought this was the story of a prodigal son returning to solve a crisis. A drama of brotherly reconciliation. Everyone waited to see how Ji Yan would save the sinking G group. But they didn't know. I wasn't going there to save them. I was going there to bid them a final farewell. Friday arrived. I walked into the G group headquarters in a black suit. The shareholders were there, along with the financial reporters. Camera flashes blinded the room. Grandfather sat in the main chair, looking tired and weak. Ji Yang sat beside him, his eyes bloodshot, radiating pure hatred and unwillingness. I walked straight to the opposite end of the conference table. The chairman's seat. I sat down. Everyone is here, I said, my voice ice cold. Start. Grandfather looked at me. His gaze was filled with complex emotions. He picked up the microphone, his voice heavy. We called everyone here today for an urgent matter. Due to my mistakes and Ji Yang's lack of experience, the company is in a dire situation. He paused, as if making the hardest decision of his life. After consulting the board, we have decided to call Ji Yan back. He will become chairman and take full responsibility. He stood up trembling and walked toward me, holding the rosewood seal and a document. Every media camera focused on this moment. Everyone assumed this was the start of a power transfer and reconciliation. Wait, I stopped him. Everyone stared at me in shock. I pulled a stack of documents from my briefcase and signaled Linzhou to hand them out. Before I accept the appointment, I want you all to see one thing. Grandfather and Ji Yang froze, clutching the documents. I handed copies to every shareholder and reporter there. Before accepting the appointment, I needed them to see what Grandpa and Ji Yang held. Their faces went pale the second their eyes hit that title, DNA Paternity Report. How? Impossible. Only my parents and I knew the truth. My grandfather just stood there, shaking. What is this kid playing at? Confusion everywhere. Total silence in the room, but I didn't give them a chance to recover. I grabbed the mic. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm here to clear up a truth hidden for 20 years. I am not a G family child. The first file is my DNA report against my so-called parents, no blood relation. The second, a birth record. I pulled this from A11 hospital through private channels. 20 years ago, Mrs. G gave birth to only one child. That child was Ji Yang. My voice wasn't loud, but it hit that boardroom like a massive bomb. Everyone stared. Grandfather stood there shaking, pointing a finger, but no words came out. You're making false accusations. Am I? I locked eyes with him. You know the answer better than anyone. Ji Yang was sick, and you were terrified. Terrified that the G line would end. So you took a healthy baby from the hospital and staged a twin story, right? That baby was me, the one you raised for 20 years as Ji Yang's backup in shadow. I worked myself to the bone. I built the G group value just so you'd keep me around. Then, on my 20th birthday, the moment you felt he was healthy, you tossed me aside. Did you really think I'd crawl back like a dog? Every word cut deep. His face turned purple. He grabbed his chest and collapsed. Grandfather! Ji Yang screamed, sprinting toward him. Chaos erupted, but I just watched cold. I stood up and straightened my suit collar. Everyone, calm down. It was just a bluff. No need to panic. My eyes swept over those terrified shareholders. I'm not here to save this crumbling company today. I'm here to acquire it. The panic paused. A shareholder, grandfather's old friend, stood up, furious. Ji Yan, have you no shame? That old man raised you for 20 years. This is your thanks, Uncle Wong, thanks? The profit I brought this group far outweighs 20 years of my living expenses. That navigation plan alone, 10 billion yuan. Shall we do the math? I'm not ungrateful, I'm a businessman. And businessmen only care about profit, I signaled Lianzhou. He passed out the offer. Official acquisition of G Group by Chengxi Tech. G Group is drowning in 20 billion yuan of debt. It's bankrupt. So, we're offering to take over for 1 symbolic yuan, acquiring 51% of the shares. We'll absorb every penny of the debt. In exchange, you shareholders trade your worthless paper for 0.1% of Chengxi Tech. The room shook. It was a lifeline. A sinking, dead company exchanged for a tech giant valued over 3 billion yuan. This wasn't just an acquisition. It was a massive calculated gift. Even Uncle Wong went silent, his hand trembling. They were businessmen. They knew the math. Bankruptcy was imminent. My offer was their only climb out of the grave. I agree, one young shareholder shouted first. Then another and another. The dam had broken. In less than 5 minutes, over 40% of external shareholders signed. Plus, I'd been buying shares quietly for months. Combined, I held absolute controlling power. From today on, the name stays G, but it's not Yang's G anymore. It's my G. The ambulance siren grew louder. The staff rushed in, loading my unconscious grandfather onto a stretcher. Ji Yang stumbled behind them. He stopped as he passed me, eyes burning red. Ji Yan, you will regret this. I heard his internal screams. He ruined everything. I'll kill him. Ji Yang, I said calmly. The day you treated me like a fool and mocked my 20 years of hard work, your end was set. Everything you're losing now is just the result of your own choices. Take care of grandfather. From now on, your living allowance will be wired monthly. I'm not ungrateful, after all. I mimicked his old patronizing tone. Ji Yang trembled with rage but had nothing to say. He left, humiliated, chasing the ambulance. The conference room was now a line of shareholders signing the agreements. Each face looked like a man spared from death. I walked to the floor-to-ceiling window. Endless traffic flowed below. Looking out, I felt one thing. My era had begun. Grandfather survived the stroke, but the damage was severe. His face was twisted, his speech slurred. He spent every day trapped in a hospital bed. Ji Yang sat by him, watching the man he thought was invincible. All that remained in him was hatred, but he was powerless. As the liquidation process began, I took control. Assets, properties, the works. I started the reforms. First step, massive layoffs. I fired all the relatives, who were only there for the perks and the tea. And all those fake experts who spent years kissing Ji Yang's feet. They were the first ones out the door. He used to just sip tea and read the paper. As for those so-called experts who only fawned over Ji Yang when he held power, I destroyed them all. Whispers of mutiny echoed through the halls. They claimed I was purging the family and turning the group into my own personal dictatorship. They were dead wrong. My company had no room for dead weight. I integrated Shinki Technologies' core team with the original group assets. Using the technical edge of our teaming system, we quickly revived the legacy home appliance and real estate divisions with fully intelligent living. The new concept launched, breathing life into stagnant industries. In just 6 months, the revitalized group finally began turning a profit. The stock price surged, shattering its all-time high. With the merger, a 10 billion yuan empire stood tall. I was the undisputed king. I was reviewing documents in my office when Lin Zhou knocked and entered. "President," he said, "Miss Liu is downstairs demanding to see you." I didn't even look up. "Send her up." Minutes later, Liu Ruoyan walked in, looking tired and frail in a dated Chanel suit. She stood before my desk, biting her lip, trying to appear helpless and pathetic. I signed the final paper before finally looking up. I looked at her as if she were a complete stranger. "What is it?" She took a deep breath. "I heard uncle is sick. Ji Yang is in deep trouble too. I know you're angry, but they raised you for 20 years. Can you give him a chance?" Her voice was soft, her eyes full of sincerity. She looked like a woman worried about an old flame, but her mind was elsewhere. "A useless man like Ji Yang is finished," she thought. "The family is gone. Now I am the only powerhouse left. I must hold on to him tightly. If I act generous, he will surely recall our old bond. Once we reconcile, who could stop me?" I leaned back in my chair, enjoying the performance. Liu Ruoyan, what makes you think you are in a position to bargain with me?" She turned pale. "I just think one should leave a path open for others," she stammered. "A path?" I repeated, my voice ice cold. "When you people crushed me, why didn't you leave a path for me? When you dreamt of being the chairman's wife, what about us?" She had no answer. "Do you think I don't know why you're here? You want to be the mistress of this 10 billion yuan empire." My voice wasn't loud, but her entire body trembled. How did I know? She stared at me, terror-stricken, as if I were a monster. I leaned in close. "Keep your pathetic schemes to yourself. You're worth less to me than a scrap of old discarded clothing. Leave." She stumbled back, fleeing my office in tears. After that, my life returned to peace, but Ji Yang wouldn't stay quiet for long. He kept taking the living expenses I sent while spreading rumors that I was an ingrate who abandoned his adoptive grandfather. The media, hungry for clicks, fueled the fire. Soon I was painted as a modern-day villain. Lin Zhou slammed a paper down in anger. "Should we file a legal notice?" he asked. I looked at the photo of myself, portrayed as cunning and heartless, and simply shook my head. Let them make a scene. I could hear Ji Yang's inner voice. The bigger the scandal, the better. I will ruin his reputation. How childish. Did he really think public opinion could shake my capital? He hired trolls to play the victim, pushing the narrative to the peak. Once the outrage reached its zenith, I gave an exclusive interview to a top financial magazine. I didn't deny the accusations directly. Instead, I presented cold reports on how I was groomed as a backup, used for years, and then discarded the moment I was inconvenient. I showed the financial evidence that Ji Yang had squandered over 10 billion yuan within months of taking over the company. The public opinion flipped instantly. They went from pitying him to despising the incompetent heir who tried to destroy his savior. Ji Yang became a laughingstock. Shunned by society and unable to find work, he suffered a mental breakdown that was far more painful than poverty. I heard he went mad. He would pace outside our building, in a filthy suit, stopping strangers to claim he was the real chairman. I saw him from my car once. His hair was greasy, his eyes vacant, muttering, "I am the chairman." I closed the window and drove on. Was he a pathetic figure? Perhaps, but he earned his fate. After his breakdown, he was sent to a psychiatric hospital. When old Ji heard the news, his health failed completely. He passed away in the hospital, but he wanted to see me one last time. He lay on his bed, unrecognizable. Seeing me, tears welled in his cloudy eyes. He gripped my hand, whispering, "Forgive me." Then I heard his final thoughts. "I made a mistake, a terrible mistake. If only I had chosen differently in the beginning." He ruined the very person who saved him. He had the best resources in life, yet he wasted every good card he was dealt. Ji Yang had become a complete disaster. He was a laughingstock. People pointed and whispered when he walked by. He tried finding work, but no company would touch him. Society had completely cast him aside. A mental breakdown is more painful than poverty. Sometime later, I learned Ji Yang had lost his mind. He would wear a baggy, disheveled suit every day down at the G Group office. He wandered below the building, stopping pedestrians to claim he was the true chairman. I saw him from my car once. His hair was greasy, his eyes hollow. His lips kept muttering, "You are a thief. I am the chairman. I am the chairman." I rolled up my window and drove away without a single expression. Was he a pitiful sight? Perhaps. But everything that happened to him, he earned himself. After he snapped, they moved him to a psychiatric hospital. When Grandpa got the news, his already frail body just gave up. It didn't take long. He took his last breath right there in the hospital. He wanted to see me once before passing. And I went. He lay on the hospital bed so gaunt it was hard to recognize him. The moment he saw me, tears welled in his dim eyes. He grabbed my hand. In a broken voice, he just kept repeating 3 words. "Forgive me." Then I heard his final inner thoughts. I made a mistake, a massive mistake. If I had chosen to live properly, Grandfather would never have reached this state. I failed him. And my ancestors. I stayed silent, just watching. I watched until his hand grew weak and fell from mine. I closed his eyes. With his passing, the anger and arguments between us faded away. I arranged his funeral as an adopted son. Not many people showed up. The relatives I had already fired from the company were never going to attend. The Liu family came though. Liu Ruyan's father tried to speak with me, but one cold look was enough to make him back away. Liu Ruyan stood in the corner, watching me from afar. Her eyes held complex emotions. She looked even thinner than before. I heard her family wanted to marry her off to a bald man 20 years her senior, just for a business deal. Her future no longer concerns me. After the funeral, I stood alone by Grandfather's grave for a long time. The wind rustled through the pines. It felt like they were whispering a story. My 20 years of life felt like a bizarre, nonsensical dream. I was chosen, trained, then discarded. And then, at the very last moment, I made my comeback. Finally, everything was still. I placed a bouquet of white chrysanthemums on his grave. Goodbye, Grandfather. And goodbye to the naive Jiang, who believed hard work was enough to get everything. A year later, the G Group headquarters became the city's new landmark. As chairman, I graced the cover of Time magazine. They called me the Eastern Power Player. I had new partners, new friends. Lin Zhao had become CEO. He was capable of making major decisions and taking full responsibility. We had expanded our business empire globally. Sometimes I still thought about the past. That flashy birthday banquet, Jiang's arrogance, and Grandfather's complicated gaze. All those moments that once caused me such pain filled me with rage and broke me from within. They felt distant and hazy now. I didn't need to read inner thoughts to understand this world anymore. I had become powerful enough to control my own destiny. I could ignore every hidden agenda. That special ability of mine, as my heart grew calm, gradually faded away. Perhaps its only mission was to show me everyone's true face during those dark nights, so I could break free and step into a new life. One day, at a charity banquet, I met an unexpected person. He was a middle-aged man whose face looked remarkably like mine. He founded a small tech firm and kept a low profile, but his technical skills were solid. He saw me, hesitated, then nervously walked over to hand me his business card. I took it, studied his face, and a sudden suspicion took root. I had Lin Zhao investigate him, and the results confirmed my theory. 21 years ago, his wife gave birth at A City First Hospital. Doctors diagnosed the baby with severe congenital heart disease, and said he wouldn't live past 1 year. The couple was devastated, but they were too poor to afford the treatment. 3 days after the birth, they were told their child had died. The hospital even issued a death certificate. 1 day before the G family adopted me, the pieces clicked into place. I was that child who was supposed to die. The G family used their money and power to fake my death. They paid for my treatment, then brought me into the family to be Jiang's backup. I looked at Jiang and went high in the distance, laughing about technology. My heart felt strange. He didn't know the son he thought was dead was still alive, and had become a man he could never have imagined. I didn't approach him to reveal the truth. What's past is past. Dragging it up now wouldn't help either of us. Instead, I told Lin Zhao to make a massive investment in his company. We helped his team solve their technical bottlenecks. I saw it as my quiet return for the fatherly love that reached me 20 years too late. As the banquet ended, the city lights twinkled. I looked up at the countless stars. From now on, no chains, no betrayals. Just me and this infinite radiant future that I have built with my own hands.